welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda. I'm so glad you are here today. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. If you do, please hit that bell button so you're notified every single time that I upload and you don't miss any inspiration. Everyone, if you enjoy the content of this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up, as that is the free way to help your girl out here on YouTube. I hope you enjoy the DIYs today. Let's go! For DIY number one, I'm going to share with you this adorable Beehive candle holder that you can make in a set, or you could use different size glasses to make one bigger and one smaller. So I'm going to be using this glass from Dollar Tree, some jute rope, and some Waverly ink chalk paint. I'm going to paint the stem of my glass in Waverly ink chalk paint. When that is dry, I'm going to take this rope, glue it down, and begin to cover the entire glass part of my glass. I like to buy my rope at Hobby Lobby, as I find that it's the same type of rope as you get at the Dollar Tree, but a better value. But as I said, this rope can be found at Dollar Tree. Once you come to the top, I cut it off at an angle and tack that down with some hot glue. I go ahead and trim off any fuzzies or anything sticking out. I then take a small detail paintbrush and paint a circle with my Waverly ink chalk paint on the front of the glass covered in rope. Once that is done, I take a small piece of rope and I outline this black circle using hot glue to adhere the rope. Once my circle is outlined, I then trim off any excess. This craft is so adorable. I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to make some more in different sizes. So once that is done, then I'm going to take these cute little bees, or I guess just one cute little bee button from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to glue that right on inside of that little black hole. Now I'm going to take some parchment paper and some hot glue. I'm just going to squirt it on the parchment paper. Now here in a minute, you're going to see the hot glue kind of go crazy and it kind of squiggle all over the paper. That is because my son Elliot was determined that he was going to make some honey as well. So his honey is a little wiggly. But now we're just going to take some Waverly Maize chalk paint and we're going to go ahead and paint that dried hot glue. I wait for the paint to dry and give it 2 or 3 coats until I like how it looks. I then peel it off of my parchment paper. If any parchment paper sticks, you can easily peel that off. I then use hot glue to glue the hot glue to the opening at the bottom of my little beehive hole. I'm then going to take an LED candle from Dollar Tree, well, a battery operated candle from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to wrap a piece of this beautiful ribbon around it. This ribbon was purchased at Sam's Club, but Dollar Tree does carry some bee ribbon in the summer and spring. Now I'm just going to take a piece of twine and go ahead and wrap it around the ribbon on my candle a couple of times. Once I get that how I like it, I will tie it off, trim off the excess, and then I'm going to go ahead and just glue a cute little jute twine bow to the front of that. Sorry, I sound a little rough today. For some reason, my voice kind of keeps cracking. So please don't pay any attention to that. But now I'm just going to trim off the tails of that bow. And here we go, an adorable little candle for the top of our little beehive candle holder. I absolutely love how this came out. It was a very inexpensive. Even if you have some glasses around your house that you're not using in your kitchen, this would just be perfect. Okay, DIY number 2 is going to be a very inexpensive, adorable little miniature beehive that would be perfect for a tier tray. So I got these pots from Dollar Tree. They're 3 for $1.25. I took one pot and flipped it over upside down. I then took a length of rope that I liked for my loop, and I put the bottoms together and hot glued them. I then took some twine and wrapped it around my hot glued ends to hold them together nicely. I glued the ends of my twine down, trimmed off any excess that I may have had. Now at the bottom of my rope loop, I trimmed off any excess there as well so that it was nice and flat. I then used my hot glue gun to make a hole in the bottom of this plastic pot. Then I went ahead and pulled my rope loop through, leaving the hole on the inside of the bottom of the pot. I secured that with some extra hot glue. I then took some twine from Dollar Tree from the hardware section, and I began wrapping this entire pot. I started at the top right around that loop, and then I just wrapped all the way down to the bottom of this pot. Once I was done, I glued down my ends and cut off any excess. I'm going to follow the same step of painting a whole entrance to this beehive with my Waverly ink chalk paint and going around my hole with a piece of a rope. I'm then going to create a cute little bow for the top of this with this beautiful ribbon by just making a loop on either side and then folding it over and kind of forming a crisscross. I will then squish my crisscross in the middle and take a piece of twine and tie it around as tight as possible. The tighter that you tie your twine or a zip tie or a pipe cleaner or whatever you care to use to tighten your bow, the more you will be able to fluff up the sides of your bow and it will look super pretty. So once that is done, of course, I'm going to trim off any excess of my twine and give this a good fluffing. I like to fluff it before and after I attach it to my project by just inserting my fingers inside of that loop and just kind of fluffing and puffing it out. Once that is done, I'm going to go ahead and attach it to the top front of my beehive, right in front of that little rope holder, and I'm going to take my last little button bee, cut off the little button part in the back, and just glue it down right in the middle of my bow. I'm then going to take some eucalyptus pieces that I had in my stash, but eucalyptus can be purchased inexpensively at Walmart, or you can buy a garland at Hobby Lobby at 50% off and just use pieces off of it. But this was another adorable, inexpensive project that is perfect for a small space or a tiered tray. Okay, let's move on to project number 3. We're going to make this gorgeous cutting board sign using the Market Fresh calendar from Dollar Tree and the page that says honeybees and flowers please. I'm going to use this cutting board that is a little larger than a Dollar Tree cutting board, but you could use a Dollar Tree cutting board and just size your image down a little bit. So I painted my cutting board with Waverly ink chalk paint, and then I used a craft glue stick on top of my cutting board and also on the back of my calendar image. I adhered the image and then used a Dollar Tree sanding sponge in downward motions to remove any excess calendar page off of my board. I then used Mod Podge around the edges of the board and also any corners that are sticking up and over the top of my image. By painting my cutting board black, I'm preventing any of the lines on the back of my calendar image from showing through. I'm then going to take 4 pieces of greenery that I had in my stash and put 2 on either side at the top, apply an amount of hot glue there, a generous amount, and add one of my bows that are in an X formation, as I show how to make earlier in this video, and add a beautiful floral from Dollar Tree right there in the middle, a pretty yellow floral. And then I'm just going to take some of this Dollar Tree burlap trim and just glue it down to the bottom of this cutting board side, removing any excess. And this is so simple, so easy, so pretty, and Mod Podging over the calendar page also protects it and will make it last longer, and it just looks gorgeous. I really hope that you like this one. Okay, the next one is DIY number 4 and DIY number 5 together. I'm going to create some fun little blocks and also a nice little wooden box to hold them. So I'm going to take several calendars from Dollar Tree, a farmhouse calendar, a Market Fresh calendar, whatever calendars you like from Dollar Tree. You can just flip them all over and cut out the little preview images in the back. So I did this with several, and here's what it looks like. It's just a little preview of what is in the calendar, and then these little dice come from Dollar Tree. They are 4 to a pack. Dollar Tree also has 2-pack dice that are larger, but I like these. I went ahead and painted top, bottom, and sides before I realized that that wasn't really necessary, as these images are pretty much going to cover everything. So if you wanted to just paint the bottom, I would recommend painting the edges though, as your edges may show a tiny bit. I decided to do the top and just leave the bottoms of mine painted. So all I did was apply some Mod Podge on my block and also to the back of my little calendar image and adhere it down. So I'm going to do this on 5 sides, but again, you could totally do this on 6. Once you get your image on, you can just then go ahead and flip your block over. Use a sharp craft knife or detail scissors to trim off any excess. As you see, my calendar images were a little tiny bit too big for these block sides, so I just trimmed them down. Once my blocks are done, I will be Mod Podging over them to seal and protect them. But this craft is so easy, so customizable, and so fun. If you're using several calendars, you could even do a block for each season, or you could do a block with just trucks. Whatever you like, you could do as many as you wanted. The container that we are going to make, or the wooden box that we are going to make, would hold multiple of these blocks. I make 6 blocks, but I believe it would probably hold up to 12. So here is how easy this is. Now let's move into the box. I took 2 of these Dollar Tree wood trays and a wood plank that comes 6 to a pack from Dollar Tree. I'm going to bust out the bottom of one of the trays, being very careful. I just used my X-Acto knife to break the seal, and then I busted the bottom out. I glued that wooden edge that was from that tray on top of the other tray. I then used some Dollar Tree lightweight spackle to fill in any holes or crevices. I then took the Dollar Tree wooden plank that we were using, that 6 to a pack, and cut it in half. Once it is cut in half, you can put 1/2 on either side, covering up those cutouts on your wooden tray. Once that is done, I painted my entire tray, top, bottom, inside, everything, with Waverly Plaster Chalk Paint. I then took the 2 images from my favorite calendars. Now these are larger than your preview images. These are the one large image in the top left of your calendar. So you'll have the preview images and you'll have one large image in the back. And so I took these 2 large images and I'm going to Mod Podge one to either side of my box on opposite sides. So one I put more toward the right, and then on the flip side I put the other image more toward the left. And then I'm going to take 2 lengths of rope. I'm going to make sure they're the same size, and I am just going to glue them on either side of my box right around that wood plank that we placed. I'm going to use a generous amount of hot glue on the edge of that plank and just adhere that rope down. So I do this to both sides, of course, and those form our adorable little handles, and they also kind of camouflage the edges of that wooden plank. And this just comes out so cute, so adorable, and it's perfect for holding our little blocks. And again, it would hold several more blocks than I actually created. So once this is all done, I'm going to take a little brush and some antique wax, and I'm just going to lightly brush the Waverly antique wax all over this box just to give it a beautiful distressed look. I even go over that little calendar image, but you don't have to distress this box if you don't want to. The box is also very customizable to whatever colors you would like, and here we go, an adorable little box for our cute little blocks. This DIY was so fun, and I really hope that you like it. Let's move right into DIY number 6. We are going to create this little Tipsy Pot. It's a miniature Tipsy Pot, perfect for a tall tier tray. I'm going to use 2 small clay pots from Dollar Tree that come 3 to a pack, and 1 that comes 2 to a pack. I'm going to paint the larger one with Waverly Ink Chalk Paint and the 2 smaller ones with Waverly Plaster Chalk Paint. After the 2 smaller ones are dry, I'm going to go over them with Waverly Maze Chalk Paint. The reason I do them with plaster first is so I do not have to use so much of the Waverly Maze. I'm using some washi tape to create stripes on one of my maze painted flower pots. My washi tape did not work very well because it wasn't very sticky, So after I went over this with my Waverly ink chalk paint, I did have quite a bit of bleeding. I just cleaned those lines up. But if your washi tape works better than mine, this should be just fine. If you do have any bleeding, just use a small detail brush to clean your lines up. Then I took my large black pot, I put some of this floral foam from Dollar Tree in, and I used a small skewer stick that you can also purchase from Dollar Tree, stuck it down in that foam. I positioned my striped pot right through that dowel rod and then used a little bit of hot glue to tack it where I wanted it. I then put the third pot through the dowel rod on top and used a little bit of glue between my two pots. Now I have this little cute pot hugger from the garden section of Dollar Tree, and I'm attaching him to the very top pot, and I'm using tiny dabs of hot glue on the bottom of the little ladder that he's standing on to attach it firmly to the very bottom pot, so this is going to stay in place. Now I'm taking a big pick of eucalyptus that I purchased 50% off at Hobby Lobby, and I'm taking pieces off of it to fill up that top pot, that middle pot, and also the bottom pot. I do mine quite full and wily and bushy, but you absolutely don't have to do that. I just thought that this was really adorable, and I didn't even have to use floral foam in the two top pots. I just tucked it in there. Lavender would be gorgeous as well, though. Okay, for DIY number 7, I'm going to use the second clay pot that was in that 2-pack, and I'm going to paint it with Waverly ink chalk paint. I'm going to go around the brim with Waverly plaster chalk paint and then Waverly maze chalk paint. I was running out of my maze, so I didn't want to do multiple layers. I'm then going to glue down a piece of twine and wrap it around the top of my flower pot like so. Glue the end down and trim off any excess. I'll then take a little twine bow and pop that on the front of this. So this is another very cute, very easy one as well. I absolutely love it. I had these stickers left from a scrapbooking pack that I purchased at Hobby Lobby, 50% off. It was $2.99 and I got tons of goodies, including the sticker pack. And I love these stickers because the edges are clear. So I chose the sticker, oh my goodness, sorry guys, and tucked it on the front. Then I put some floral foam and some more eucalyptus and put that on the inside. I chose this bee out of this little wood pile package from Hobby Lobby, and I hot glued him to an extra little piece of dowel rod that I had, and I just tucked him right there in the middle of all of that eucalyptus. An easy craft, but so cute. I really hope that you guys liked that one. Thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. I really hope that you enjoy it, gathered some inspiration. If you would like to find me on Instagram, the link is in the description box. If you have any questions or comments about today's video, please leave them down in the comment section below. Thank you once again for watching, and stay safe, friends. For one last look at these projects, here's how I staged some of them in my entryway, which is about to be painted. We're about to get rid of that green, thank goodness. But here is that cute little box that we made with the dice, and then that little candle holder beehive, the little beehive, our little bee Tipsy Pot, and our other little flower pot with a little bee in it. I love all these crafts and so enjoyed making them. I really hope that you enjoy watching as much as I enjoy making them. Stay safe, friends. I'll see you soon.
You can subscribe to my mom's channel, and thank you for watching today's craft, and stay safe.